Hey guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android, and I love to talk about movies and TV shows way too much. Without being said, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 favorite MCU movies from the worst to the best, and my list isn't the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to hear your guys' rankings in the comments down below. In 10th place, I got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This film really surprised me, if I'm being honest, and I found it to be a breath of fresh air, and I'm not familiar with the character at all, so I had no idea what to expect from this film. But it was a fantastic movie. Aquafina was so funny as Katie, and the father was also a great villain. But the scene in this movie that really stood out to me was the bus fight scene. That to me is the best part in this movie. And I will say the post-credit scene was awesome, phenomenal, but I will say it's been 3 years since we last saw Shang-Chi, and for that I rate it a 4 out of 10. In ninth place, I got Iron Man 1. This movie kickstarted the entire MCU, and it made people fall in love with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I will say that the villain was spectacular. I was shocked when Obadiah Stane when he turned out to be the villain, but I will say I did not like Terrence Howard as James Rhodes, aka War Machine. And hot take, my favorite suit out of the entire suit that Tony has is the one that he built in the cave. I thought it had so much aura, and I will say I also didn't really like Pepper Potts. I thought she was kind of annoying. But I rate this movie a solid 5 out of 10. In 8th place, I got Captain America Civil War. If I'm being honest, this is basically an Avengers movie in disguise. It is interesting to finally consider some of the collateral damage and civilian deaths caused by the massive amount of destruction caused by fighting the Avengers and have participated in. And I will say that the story quickly turns into superhero battling other superheroes. The plan of the hero turning against each other is super good, and I like how Barnes able basically turned the Avengers apart and broke them up. I thought that was super interesting and super cool. My favorite part in the movie is the airport fight scenes, and I love the way that they introduced Spider-Man into the MCU, and that the fact that Captain America didn't tell Iron Man about the truth of his parents shook me. I will say Iron Man was right. Without being said, I rate this movie a solid 5.5 out of 10. In 7th place, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The movie takes us into a deeper and understanding of the Guardians universe, and one of the most compelling storylines revolves around Rocket's past. We dive into his emotional backstory, witnessing the unraveling trauma and pain and suffering that shaped him into the complex character we know and love today. Rocket's journey is a roller coaster of emotions, and the fact that Groot said "I love you guys," but it wasn't really him saying "I love you," we now understand his language, was super sweet to me. And the High Evolutionary was a great villain, and one of the only villains that I actually wanted to get rid of myself. And my favorite line in this movie is when Nebula turns to Drax and says, "Drax, you were born to be a destroyer, you were born to be a dad." I thought that was so sweet, and everybody had a good and satisfying ending, which is why I rate it a 6 out of 10. In 6th place, I have Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was surprisingly emotional and raw, and the character-driven entry in the movie in the MCU. But what makes this movie shines is how well it redeems and develops the other less seen Phase 4 characters like John Walker, Ghost, Taskmaster, and even Bob got meaningful screen time in arcs. There is not a lot of humor in this movie, but when there is, it is phenomenal because of Red Guardian and Yelena. But Taskmaster, if you know, you know. The post-credit scene got me so excited for the future of the MCU, and it's the longest post-credit scene in any MCU movie, which is why I rate this entire movie a 6.5 out of 10. In 5th place, I got No Way Home. What do I say for this phenomenon of a movie? This movie is awesome and fantastic. It has great writing and great character development. I love how they brought back Toby and Andrew for this movie and all their villains as well. I thought everything was super well done, and I will say that Aunt May's death crushed me more than it did Peter and Happy. I like when they captured all the villains and they were all talking on what happened to them in their own respected universes. And the fact that Peter went toe to toe with Doctor Strange and defeated him was pretty good, and it was my favorite scene in the movie. And I liked how all the three Peters were talking to each other and learning more about each other and their feelings as well. And I will say, I absolutely hate the ending when Peter was like, make everybody forget who Peter Parker is. And the fact that he promised that he would go see MJ and find her and tell her everything, and he goes, but he doesn't really tell her anything, and that physically made me mad. And the post credit scene doesn't really go anywhere. But other than that, I rate this a 7 out of 10. In fourth place, I got Deadpool and Wolverine. To me, this is the best MCU project since Endgame. The characters were fun, the plot was fantastic, and the cameos were so peak. I was not expecting them to bring back Chris Evans as the Human Torch, Elektra, X-23, but the two cameos in this movie that blew me away the most was Wesley Snipes' Blade and Channing Tatum's as Gambit. The best action scene in this movie is when Deadpool and Wolverine fights all the Deadpool variants, and the best four-wall break in this movie is when Nice Payroll was like, I can gently tap the fourth wall too, and looks at the camera and says the proposal. The only thing that really I have to complain about this movie is the villain isn't really that memorable. But other than that, I rate this movie a 7.5 out of 10, and I love the Bye 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 dance opening scene. In third place, I got Fantastic Four. First Steps. This is by far the most accurate Fantastic Four movie. Everyone had a time to shine in this movie, and this is the movie that actually made the Fantastic Four feel like an actual family. To me, Johnny was the best part about this movie. He is not the dumb-witted person of the team, unlike the Fox movies made him to be. He is the one that found out the Silver Surfer's language, and he is the one that made her have a redemption arc. Galactus was perfect. This is what Galactus is supposed to be, and my favorite part of the entire movie was the whole space segment of the movie. The cast had great chemistry with each other, and they each had a moment with each other. This is the best looking design of the Thing that we have ever had. The suits were phenomenal, so comic accurate, and I love how it was set in a different planet in the multiverse and set in the 1960s futuristic time. And Franklin Richards is the fact that he was able to bring back his mom from the dead just to show how powerful he was super hype. And I also liked how Mr. Fantastic was trying to teleport the Earth and just being super smart, but unfortunately Silver Surfer showed up literally 2 seconds before they were supposed to teleport and ruined everything. But other than that, I rate this a 9 out of 10. In my runner-up spot, I got Infinity War. We already knew Thanos was coming, but seeing him wreak havoc across the galaxy was on another level of insanity. Josh Brolin brought a surprising amount of death to the Mad Titan. The movie was like a giant crossover coming to life. Seeing Iron Man team up with Star-Lord, Thor wielding Groot's branch as a weapon, Stormbreaker. These interactions were pure fan service, and I loved every minute of it. The Russo brothers did an amazing job juggling such a massive cast, giving everybody a chance to shine in their own way. The action sequences were insane, the Wakanda battle was awesome, and the special effects were top-notch. This isn't your typical hero always win Marvel movie. And let me tell you that the ending, even though it's 7 years later, it still shakes me and I'm not over it. The real tearjerker in this movie is the Mr. Stark I do not feel so good scene when Tony realizes that Peter is about to be dusted and Peter dies in his arms and Tony can't do anything about it. Watching that part of the movie broke my heart, and the only real issue I really had with this movie is when Star-Lord hits Thanos when they almost have the gauntlet off. But if he literally wait just a few seconds or a minute, he would have won. But the story-wise, I get it. Overall, Avengers Infinity War is a much-watched MCU movie. If you're a fan, it is thrilling, emotional, and a roller coaster that will leave you bracelets and desperate for more. But other than that, I rate this movie a 9.5 out of 10. In first place, I got Avengers Endgame. Endgame to me was without a doubt the best experience I've ever had in a movie theater. I mean, I love everything about this movie, from the action to the comedic moments, from the 3-hour runtime to the actors' chemistry, etc. And it's safe to say that the portal scene is the best scene in MCU history, period. Performance-wise, I thought everybody gave phenomenal performances, but for me, it was Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man who really stole the show. Robert Downey Jr. is the best cast for Iron Man of all time, and I don't think anybody can replace him. But Josh Brolin also blew me away as the portrayal of the Mad Titan Thanos, and Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans concluded their journeys as Iron Man and Captain America in the MCU. My only complaint about this movie is that they didn't give enough credit to Scarlett Johansson when she sacrificed herself as Black Widow for the Soul Stone, and we didn't really mourn her like we did Tony. But other than that, I have no other issues, and I really liked how Tony Stark, when he saw Spider-Man, gave him a big hug, because back in Homecoming, when Peter tried to give him a hug, he was like, no, I was just opening the door for you. So I thought that was a good full circle moment for Tony's and Peter's relationship, and I thought that was super sweet. I also didn't expect Thor to go for the head and kill Thanos within 20 minutes of the movie. If that wasn't for the rat, then I feel like nobody would have thought of time travel and nobody would have won in the end. But I think Avengers Endgame is a masterpiece of a film that people will talk about from the end of time, and it's why I rate it a 10 out of 10. And with that being said, guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and put on notifications so you don't miss a single upload. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my gaming channel and my TikTok. Link will be in the descriptions for both of those. But I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.